We might just have to have a short technology break.
Let me give you that, and I'll introduce you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I'd just like to introduce, you know, so we're busy, Luke to you, Luke Wordley. Now, Luke has written a book called The Fight, and I have read it. A couple of other staff have read it. It's a really, really good book. I really enjoyed it. Couldn't put it down. But can you tell me a little bit about why you wrote this book and what it's all about?
Sure. I mean, personal reflection very quickly. I feel a little bit of a fraud being up here in terms of I'm probably the least experienced person in this room when it comes to prison ministry. But my first experience was when I was at university in Newcastle and just become a Christian. And Jeff Baxter was working up there doing some fantastic work for Youth for Christ at Castington Young Offenders Institute. And he invited me into the prison to take part in a gentle game of rugby, he said, against the inmates and the prison guards. And not being a rugby player, I somehow agreed to this. And training twice a week, but never actually getting to play anyone, I can assure you they were extremely committed. And it was probably the most terrifying experience of my life to date. But so The Fight, it's basically a gritty story about a young lad who grows up in the East End of London and suffers a terrible family tragedy early on, and so as a result grows up incredibly angry with the world and getting into fights with people and fighting everything around him. And it's basically a story about his journey from there on in. It's obviously got a strong redemptive Christian message running through the story as well. So.
Great, and can you tell us why you felt inspired to write this book?
Well, I became Christian at 19, and I've always been an avid reader of fiction, and I was kind of quite surprised that there wasn't more contemporary Christian fiction or fiction with a Christian story, especially for men. I didn't really understand it because Jesus, told parables and used storytelling a lot in his ministry, and so I guess it was just a personal reflection on that. I mean, it's taken many years to actually write it and get to this point, but I guess that was my inspiration, really. So.
Great, and you've come to share with us a little bit today about the book, and can I ask you why you think this book could be supportive of prison ministry, how you have a vision for using this book in prisons?
Sure, I mean, to be honest with you, when I first started writing it, I didn't have prisoners particularly in mind. I just had, men in the church or men on the fringes of church, really. But I sent an early draft to a friend who's director of missions at the Message Trust, which do some great work in the Northwest. And he read it and he said, look, this is fantastic, and we would love to use this in the prison ministry which they're involved in the Northwest. And it was a new thought to me, really. So I sent it to a couple of prison chaplains who he suggested, and Paul Cowley at Caring for Ex-Offenders, and they were really encouraging about it, but the issues of anger which are dealt with in the book might really speak to some people in the prison system. And so I kind of started doing a bit of research, and I went on YouTube and saw a couple of fantastic testimonies. Darrell Tunningley, I don't know if you've come across, and another chap who was described as the sixth most dangerous man in prison service, and he talked about this all-consuming anger which was just within him and how God released him from that. And to be honest with you, it just had me in tears, really, and just I felt kind of God convicting me that I just needed to make this book available for prison chaplaincies to use if they so see fit in their work, basically. So that conceived an idea of that instead of buy one, get one free, the book could be sold on a buy one, give one free principle, with the free book going to prison ministry. So
can you explain what you want us to do about that now? Because I know you brought some books with you and you're only here for a couple. I should say, by the way, that Luke's kindly joined us this weekend. His wife is the person we should really be thanking for this, because he's just had his third son, Barnaby, is that right?
Barnaby, yes, he was born on Tuesday.
So he's getting a time off for good behaviour.
I would have loved to have been here all weekend, but I'm afraid I've got to Zoom this afternoon and get back. But yeah, I'm basically here to distribute books. I've got about 60 boxes. Prison Fellowship kindly gave me the list of prisons which are represented here today, and basically this is a free gift just to take away with you as a letter which explains it in there. So if you're here representing a prison, then please just come and collect your free box of books, really.
You're going to be in the marketplace in the Butterley Hall.
Yes, but as
over lunch and such.
due to him, I'm afraid I'm heading off after a lunch session. So if you want one, you need to come and claim it by the end of the lunch session, if that's possible. So.
Great, thanks, Luke. Thanks
Okay.
very much. And now, what can we continue as you kind of go through your ministry? I'm sure you'll keep in touch with us about how the book's being used. What kind of prayer points can we take away to remember?
Well, really, my prayer is just that it supports you and the amazing work you're doing, basically. You know, it would be fantastic if a book touches, you know, it would be great to pray that the book touches people's hearts. I mean, I think testimonies and, you know, autobiographies are incredibly powerful. I think they're probably the most powerful thing in the prisons. But, you know, some people like fiction, and so if this can be valuable to your work, then that would be fantastic. And even if it's just a discussion point to support you in your work, then that's my prayer, really. So perhaps you could also pray that it will touch people's hearts as well, and that would be great.
Thank you, Luke, and thanks very much for coming and joining us.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.